Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin immediately with our next session. May I call upon Mr. Ferran Soldevila, Managing Director, Sun Chemical Services. Ferran holds a degree in economics from Barcelona University and University of Rotterdam, Holland. His main fields of expertise are regulatory advisory as a regulatory advisor on fertilizers, biostimulants, and biopesticides in different regions around the world. He is a founder member of the Fertilizer Consultants Network and has been active to the new FPR law 2019/1009, being a member of CTN UNE 142 G3. Frankly speaking, it's a Spanish mirror of the group CEN/TC455. These are more technical for me, man. So just to understand what these all are, may I welcome upon Dr. Ferran. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Hello to everybody. To invite us. I mean, the world should have more association like this because planet. And what we have to do is to reduce a little bit the chemicals that we implement biological product for the future. Today, explain a little bit about biological market trends. Company, and I'm going to put here some figures about the use of biologicals world markets, the value markets, and so on. Then I will start deeply. If you are aware, but in Europe we changed the European law for biologicals, for fertilizers in 2022. So the law was published in 2022. I said not biologicals because, sorry, biopesticides is completely biopesticides, but they are not fulfilling the same law. Then I'm going to go directly to what we call Module B. Module B is, and this will be more some trends for your regulatory people in your own companies, what an Indian company should do to register a biostimulant or a biofertilizer in Europe. And then, that is sure important for you, I'm going to give some traits about how to conduct the efficacy trials, and at the end, a little bit about the value and the cost and the time to do that in Europe. So let's start with some biological market trends and drivers in Europe. So Europe, in the last 10 years, has changed a lot. Not only about what we would like to do, also what we are doing. Why? Because Europe wants to become the first climate neutral 2050. This was approved for the European Parliament, and they are implementing a lot of different laws to achieve this goal. If we are now on an agro sector, the two most important laws that we apply are the Green Deal and Farm to Fork. And it is not a matter that just put some laws. It's a matter to try to achieve that. And to do that, you can see here the two next steps. One is European Union wants to reduce the synthetic chemical products by 50% till 2013. This is a mandate from the European Parliament. So means that in the coming years, there will be a lot of chemical pesticides that will be banned in Europe. This means that the disease will disappear in Europe? No. This means that we need to open Europe for a new solutions, being biostimulants, being biopesticides, to try to replace these products. Yeah, but what is for sure is that this is going to happen. Second one is we want to reduce also and use less fertilizers on the fields, because you know that most of these fertilizers that we are sending or using not all of them are used for the plant. So we are somehow contaminating a little bit the soils in Europe. Yeah? And the last one is that to promote all of that, Europe has launched a new EU law. That is basically what I'm going to explain today to all of you. So let's first go to some market trends. These figures that not belong to my association. So here you have the source, and the American company that gave me these figures and give me the right to use these figures today in front of you. So basically you can see how are the trends for this biological market in the future. This is a global value. Means that we are on a sector that everything is going to grow. We do not see in biologicals any market being biofertilizers, being biostimulants or biopesticides. No one of them is going to decrease worldwide. Why? Because we should substitute the chemical ones. So all these markets will grow and grow and grow. So you are in the right moment to invest in all these markets. Here you can see some figures. I'm not going to go in detail because I'm sure the presentation that I have today will be available for all of you. In terms of what's going to grow more, here you can see that biostimulants that are in the lower part of the graphic are the ones that maybe are going to grow more. You can see biostimulants, microbial biostimulants will be the ones that starts from the lowest, but will grow rapidly in the coming years. At least this is the trends, what this American company says. Let's go directly about markets, figures. That are figures in billions. And here you can see in biocontrol. Biocontrol means for this company, biopesticides plus microorganism business. Both of them together. The most important market worldwide is United States plus Canada. Second one is Europe. Why American is more important than Europe? Easy to understand. To register a biopesticide in America, the investment is around, I would say, $1 million, and it takes in between 1.5 to 2 years. To register exactly the same product in Europe, you will spend in between 8 and 10 years, and you need to invest in between 2-3 million euros. So this is why there's a lot of solutions that are available today in the States, and they are not available in Europe. Okay, you see the other markets. Latin America in biocontrol is growing a lot, and Asia and Pacific also. So you know that these markets are still really important ones and will grow in the coming years for sure. What about microbials biostimulants? You can see here that Europe is almost nothing, or it's not an important market. Why? It's due to the regulation. In Europe, we did not promote microbials in the last 5 or 10 years. Our law is, I would say, more restricted than the Indian one or the American one. This is why there's not much solutions in Europe. This is why the market is smaller compared with the others. But take care with some specific markets that they are growing so fast in microbials. When we start the humans using microbials in soybean production, you know how big is soybean production in Latin America. So this is why you see these figures of Latin America. So depending on the crops that we are using microbials and depending for what, these figures can change in the coming years so fast. Because microbials, biostimulant microbials, are not, I would say, the most developed markets. We need to do much more to help plants to be strong by themselves and to not use much chemicals. And the last figure in terms of data is non-microbials biostimulants. Here you can see that the biggest market worldwide is Europe. Why? Because it's easy to register non-microbial biostimulant in Europe. So always the markets and the trends and the volumes are related to regulator. Why? Because companies are there's clever people in front of the companies. If I need to invest too much to Europe, then I go to the United States. If in India the regulation is not the best one, but I'm a good chemistry and I'm able to develop a good product, when I will go? Wherever in the world it is possible. So people, we are moving, we are traveling. So this is why, depending on the law, you can see different figures. Let's And for figures, and let's start about the new European law. Yeah, let me explain a little bit that big change, because believe me, I'm not, I would say, a fan of the European laws. I'm not a member of the parliament, I'm running a private company, but I've been so critical with European politicians. But believe me that this law, I will never criticize this law. This is a really good law, and other countries should learn about this law, because it's, at the end, something easy to register, not expensive, and the time to market is a low one, less than 1 year. This is what companies need. Companies cannot wait 5 years to register something. Companies need to develop a product, and the time to market needs to be as fast as possible. So let's see first, Europe. To register a fertilizer, biofertilizer or biostimulant, you have two different ways. One is what we have been doing in the last 25 years. You still can go and follow Spanish law, or follow the French law, or the German law. All these laws are still valid in Europe. So you can go and register one biostimulant only in Germany. What you should do? You should follow German law, and you will get one registration in which one you will be able to sell only in German. What is the new one? Second one, 1009-2019, a law that was published 2019, but the entering in force was July 2022. So it's a really new law. Last year was the first global year that companies could register using this law. This law means that one dossier, one registration, access to 27 EU countries. So that's a big difference on that. I'm not going to put the law here and go in deeply detail about all of that. I don't want to be this poor guy, but let me just put what it's the summary. Yeah? The law is divided in 4 different annexes. First one is what we call PFC, product function categories. Second important annex is about the components that we are using to formulate the biostimulant or the fertilizer. Third one is how to label the product, which is the label that we will use to market the product. And the fourth one is about what is the conformity assessment, what a company should do in order to register the product. Okay, what is the way? Let's start with functions. New European biostimulant and fertilizer law. Which are the functions that the law accepts? Yeah, you can see that you can place a product being a fertilizer, a liming material, soil improver, growing medium, inhibitors, biostimulant, or a mixture of any of those. We call it blender, it's CFP7, okay? All of these, depending on the function of your product, then the requirements are completely different in the law. Starting from the most easiest ones, fertilizers, that you can register fertilizers in 3 months and not many documents in Europe right now due to this law. And maybe the most difficult one is biostimulants, okay? So here you have for the first time what for Europe is a biostimulant, that I'm sure is completely different from what you understand from a biostimulant in India. It's completely different from what the Americans understand it is a biostimulant. So this is why I'm always putting the definition of a biostimulant, because we need to have all of us the same on our head. Otherwise, we are speaking about maybe the same words, but different things. Yeah? Biostimulant in Europe is something that at the end can prove, due to efficacy trials, about 4 claims. And so if somebody asks me why there's only 4 and there's not 5 claims or whatever, this is what the law at the end defines. Yeah? So a biostimulant in Europe is a product that can help to use nutrient use efficiency, that can be or reduce tolerance to abiotic stress, can improve quality strains on the plants, or has this ability of confining nutrients in the soil. This is for Europe, what we call the claims. So if you have a product in India you can generate some efficacy trials, and you can prove any one of those four, you have a biostimulant that could be registered in Europe. Okay? So this is what we call the PFC, so the product function categories. But then, what about the raw materials? Am I able to use any raw material to generate a product that at the end will be registered in Europe? Not everything, but believe me, this is a really open law. Open law means that today we have 15 CMC, component material category. This means that all raw materials, being for, I don't know, zinc sulfate or any amino acid coming from hydrolyzed vegetable origin, so all these different components can be mixed and you can create a product. But before that, all of these components need to be classified as a CMC. So you need to understand that if you put together 5 products and you generate a fertilizer or you generate a biostimulant, these 5 raw materials that you are putting together, each one needs to be classified as a CMC. So you can see this list. The law starts with 12. Now we have 15. Means that the law is really open. Every year they are increasing or they are putting more CMC. Why? Because Europe wants to use as much materials as possible to generate fertilizers, because at the end, this means reuse of products. This means that maybe waste products can be used as fertilizers, and all of this helps to the planet. As much waste things we can recover and get a second use, less we will destroy our planet. Let me just put an example here about one restriction, CMC7, microorganisms. Is what I tell to you before. Europe is not so good in terms of virus microorganisms, or at least we have too much restrictions. You know better than me that the list of microbials and virus registered in India could be much more a huge list compared with this. Sorry, we need to start with these 4, and I'm sure in the coming years Europe will implement a long list. But today the only 4 available for register are these 4. I'm not going to explain anything about labels. That was the 3rd annex of the law, but I'm going to explain a little bit what is the conformity assessment. What the company need to do to get a registration. So here Europe divided the difficulty in 4 different stages. The easiest one is module A. The most difficult one is module D1. Let me put an example. Do you want to register a fertilizer? Yeah, a fertilizer that contains some macronutrients and some raw materials that you put together, not containing any waste product, any microorganism, or any, I would say, product that could have some concerns. Yeah, if you want to do that, you need to generate a module A. Module A, it's, I would say, a dossier that identifies well the raw materials, the product, has some analytical part. I mean, I would say that we need to explain clearly how you are manufacturing the product, that you don't have any pathogen or any contamination, heavy metals, and so on. But it's not so strict. With, I would say, a small dossier, nothing about GLP studies, nothing about anything that you have in mind. Yeah, in 3 months, we can generate a registration in Europe. You get access to 27 countries, and you can sell any fertilizer. This is what we call module A. If the product contains a high quantity of nitrogen, more than 24, you know that some products can be explosive. Then we cannot perform module A. We need to go to module A1. A1, the requirements are a little bit more complicated, but basically are more complicated in terms of the analysis, explosive analysis, and some specific tests that we need to conduct. Yeah? And then we arrive to module B. I'm going to explain in detail afterwards module B. But module B is the one that we need to use for biostimulants. Yeah? Here, the big difference is that we not only need to perform and add a lot of documents, also we need to prove the efficacy trials on the field. So here is the first module that we need to spend money in efficacy trials. And the last one, D1, that I never recommend that for an Indian company, is if you have a really long pipeline of products, biostimulants, fertilizers in your own factory, and you want to being audit for the European Union, in order that they grant you that each product that came out from a factory can have access to Europe. That's just a long process and so expensive. But some companies in Europe, they are doing. So basically here, it is not a matter to submit one dossier. It's a matter that the European Union audit your factory. And if the factory, the quality system that you have, everything has been approved, then you get access to all products coming out from this factory to the market. Okay? I will not recommend, not because you are not producing well. I will not recommend because you are too far away from Europe. Why this new law? Why Europe decided to change this law and has been a big, big change? Basically, to promote circular economy. Second one, to solve cadmium problems. In Europe, we have a lot of cadmium problems on the soil. Open for market niches, promote innovation, and addressing dual-use problems. So this is the aim of the law. But basically, what the regulators wanted to do was to create a single market. In the last 25 years, to go to Europe was like in the States. In the States, it's like this today. If you want to go and register to United States, you go to California and you do one registration. Then you go to Georgia and you do one registration. Then you go to Texas and you do another registration. Europe was like this. Now we change. One registration, get access to all Europe. So the aim was single market. And second one was, you don't have the same rules in Texas than in California, but they belong to the same state. In Europe was exactly the same problem in the past. In France, they were a little bit more restricted maybe than in Spain. So the European Union said, come on guys, we need to establish a certain or basic rules for all European countries. The scope of the application is all this list of products that you can see here. So you can see inhibitors, biostimulants, growing media. So this law specifically can be applied for all these different types of products and cannot be applied to animal byproducts, components or products, and PPP products, means pesticides. We have a completely different law to register a pesticide in Europe, and no one of the pesticides can be registered fulfilling the biostimulant and fertilizer law. What are the requirements for this law? I put here just a small example. I mean, your regulatory team, if they speak directly with us, we will send the list of requirements and so on. But they are not the big requirements, believe me. Maybe they are somehow so restrictive in heavy metals, so there are some raw materials that cannot be used in Europe due to the cadmium content or any other contaminant. But if you are using a good raw materials or you are sourcing for natural places in which one they do not have heavy metals, you fulfill the first one, level of contaminants. Then pathogens. We need to prove that you don't have any pathogen contamination in your products. Then, of course, labeling. All products needs to be labeling at the same. And here it came in the labeling something that maybe did not like much to the European companies. We need to write all the components that we are using to manufacture our product that are above 5%. So companies don't like that because it seems that you are opening your recipe to your competitors. But at the end, this is the law. And all components that are above 5% needs to be listed in the label. Let's go directly now to a biostimulant module B. If you remember what I explained to you, the conformity assessment, that's, I would say, a little bit more difficult than the others. So if you are an Indian company and you want to register a biostimulant in Europe, what you should do? First of all, you need to create an administrative dossier. This can be done by your regulatory department and any consultant in Europe that can help you. Second one, you need to perform efficacy trials. To prove what? To prove that your product is a good biostimulant. So if you remember previously that we spoke about 4 claims: use of efficient of nutrients, anti-abiotic stress. Yeah, so you need to prove one of the 4 claims, generating efficacy trials. Third one, and that's so important to understand how this law has changed a lot Europe. Your registration, your new product will have the marker CE. I don't know if you know better this logo, CE. Yeah? The Europeans, we believe in the past that CE means product produced in Europe. That's not true. CE means product complying with European rules. So can an Indian company produce a biostimulant in India and put CE on the label and sell to Europe? Yes, if you fulfill European rules. Yeah? And this can be granted due to the process of getting a registration of a biostimulant in Europe. And the third one, we have many documents that we call Declaration of Conformity, that basically means that you sign that you are fulfilling the law. Who should perform a Module B? We say clearly that Module B needs to be done by all biostimulant and inhibitors, but also the law, as this is the conformity assessment, that it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. If any of the fertilizers, liming materials, soil improvers, or growing medium has included in their formula, or an inhibitor, or a plant, parts of the plants, or botanical extracts, or microorganisms, so all these lists that you can see here, it doesn't matter if it's a fertilizer. They need to perform a Module B. Okay, so Europe says, okay, I'm going to give access fast and easy for fertilizers, but fertilizers that contain this needs to perform a Module B. Efficacy trials. I know, because I've been performing some efficacy trials here in India, I know how expensive are the efficacy trials here in India. Europe is not the cheapest region in the world, but I would say that more or less the price is quite comparable. And about what you are paying for an efficacy trial here in India and what you will pay in Europe. More or less is the same price, I would say, more or less. How many efficacy trials we need to conduct? Depending what do you want to claim on your label. If you want to register one biostimulant, that in the label it's written, my biostimulant is for tomato, then means that you want to register in one crop. One crop means 3 efficacy trials. You see the figures here, 3, 6, 8, and 9. Yeah, 3 means one crop. 6 means one group of crops. Europe has divided all their crops in 3 groups. Are the 3 groups that you can see in the right hand. Yeah, of course, there's many other crops that I cut the list. But basically is vegetables and ornamentals is one group. Second one is woody perennials, and then we have a group that I would say with all the others. Yeah? If you want 2 groups in your label, then you should do 8 efficacy trials. And if your company wants to have a label in Europe covering all European crops, you should perform 9 efficacy trials. Okay? This part is the most expensive one. So to generate the registration, to pay the taxes to the notified body, so all the other, I would say it's almost nothing. What it's expensive is this. Yeah? Let's go for something that today the politicians already left, so we do not have many politicians here, but this I'm really, really satisfied about that. Because in Europe we had a problem in the past, and we are still having a big problems to register biopesticides. Why we said that to register a biopesticide in Europe it takes 8 years? Because you submit the dossier and nobody takes care about your dossier till maybe 5 years later. So that's the big problem. So maybe the politicians, they are not putting enough workers, to take care about the dossier that the private companies are submitting. Yeah? European Union knows that. So when they decided to create this new law, instead of giving in the hands of the public workers the approve of a dossier, they decided to move to a private companies. So here you can see a list of logos that most of them are from different countries. These are private companies. private companies that they will be evaluating your dossiers. Yeah? And why this is so good? Because they are private companies. You can deal with them. You can call them. They are answering all your emails because they want you to register as much as dossier as possible because they want to do money. Yeah. So if they are not giving a good service on the market, people will know, and then they will not work anymore with this company. So the service that we are receiving from those guys are a good one. So to register after submitting a dossier with the new law, the time that these guys spend to evaluate the dossier, it's in between 1.5 months, maximum 2 months. That's nothing. That's nothing compared with years and years in other countries. Yeah? Are all of them equal? No. They have different prices, different timings, yeah, because they are private companies. So at the end, you should maybe deal with some of them or get the advice from some consultancy companies that we have been working with all of them. And we will give some advices to you, that which one is faster, which one take more concerns depending on the of the dossier, and so on. But these are private companies that will be the ones issuing the registration in the name of the European authority. But will be a private company who will issue that. So at the end, to make a summary here, Ferran, you speak a lot, but basically what I should do. So basically, first of all, we need to do a dossier classification. So you inform us about your product and your components, yeah? And we will do the dossier classification. Then we need to check about another European law that it's called Reg, yeah? Because this is the chemical institution that wants to be all chemicals in Europe safety and so on, similar to CSMR that you have here in India. Yeah, so basically we need to cross-check your components with this European law. Third one is we need to perform efficacy trials, and then we need to go for evaluation directly. Evaluation is so fast, as I explained to you. So you need first to take the decision from whom to work of all those companies, and then generate an application to them. You get an offer in terms of price, you sign the documents with them, you send the dossier to them, they make a cross-check. If everything is okay, they will inform you that they start the evaluation, and after 3-4 weeks, if there's not any concern, if it's any concern, they will give time to you to solve these concerns. You get the registration, European registration, that will be valid for 27 countries. What are the principal problems that we face during 1 year? Because this is a really new law, as I explained to you. So in 1 year, we should see some specific problems. We make a survey to these certifications bodies, these companies that are private and are giving to you the registrations. And they told us most of the problems that we are facing, because the law is so new, is that companies, they don't want how to classify CMCs. So that's a big problem. You can read the law, but to classify the component is not easy. Take a hand or make some help with some consultancy company if you are facing this problem. Second one is companies from around the world wants to register in Europe, yeah? But maybe the analytical part that is not so expensive, companies wants to do it in the United States, in China, or in India. Take care, because the methods of analysis that are requested in the law are an European ones. Yeah? So something that could be so cheap to send a sample in an EU lab and to make the test, if it's done here in India or in the United States, you can do it. Law allowed to do tests outside Europe. But they need to do and use method of analysis in each parameter that are the European ones. If you do that, you can do it in India. But this guy said this is also a problem. A lot of American companies with a different methods of analysis of some parameters. And then you cannot register the product. Third one is efficacy trials, poor ones. I don't know in India, but in Europe, before this law, everybody had 120 biostimulants in their portfolio. And at the end, they were not real biostimulants. So now that you need to go and do efficacy trials and prove that it's a real biostimulant. Now the companies in Europe don't have much biostimulants in their portfolio. Maybe they have 5 or 6. Why? Because of efficacy trials. If the efficacy trial is so poor, you cannot prove the claims, you will not be registered. So this is an important part also. And the last one, and his effect to a double use. I will not be so long in double use, but before this law, any component that was known that has a pesticide use, any component that has a pesticide use could not be used as a biostimulant. Yeah, so before 2022, if you want to use neem, that everybody knows that from neem it came azadirachtin, and azadirachtin is a compound for a pesticide, they said to you, no, you cannot register that as a biostimulant. Now the law is completely different. If you can prove that neem is a good biostimulant and you fulfill all the requirements that are under biostimulant law, neem can be registered. It doesn't matter if neem has another use. But of course, the label that you will get will be a label that will explain that you are putting on the market a biostimulant and will not reflect anything about the other use. Yeah? And second one, the dosage of a biostimulant never can be higher than a pesticide. Otherwise, we will have problems with residues. Yeah? That's a big change. That's a big change on this law. I'm going to end my presentation. I think this is the last one. So here you get some recommendations about how to register a biostimulant in Europe. Basically, take care about efficacy trials is the expensive part. Don't cheat any company in Europe saying that, look, my product contains this, and at the end contains other things, because at the end your consultant wants to help you and wants to explain right what you can register and what not, because at the end that's not fair, I would say. And basically, you will read these recommendations. Let me like this. 2 more slides just to explain about REACH. REACH is similar to CMSR that you have here in India. If you want to export biostimulants to Europe, you need to fulfill REACH requirements. That's so expensive or not expensive depending on the components that you have. Here, what is good for you is that in Europe, we have groups of components. So if you want to register zinc sulfate, or you are using zinc sulfate to one of your products, you need to get access to the REACH zinc sulfate in Europe. But maybe that could be 120 companies that they already pay for all the studies. They already generate GLP studies, toxicology, everything. And Europe accepts this component as being used as a fertilizer. If this happens and you are an Indian company and you want to go to Europe, it's easy. You contact directly this group, or you contact a consultancy company. We will speak with these guys and say, an Indian company wants to join you. What is the price? And they will give a price, and if you pay this price, a letter of access. You don't need to do anything else. So it's quite easy. But you cannot start selling products to Europe if you do not prove that you fulfill with REACH. Yeah? This CMC that you have here in the list, so not all the components needs to fulfill. For instance, that is exempt from REACH. And time to register a biostimulant or a fertilizer. You can see that if we compare this with India, for instance, in terms of investment is much more less because we are not requiring GLP studies. This could be registered in between 3,000 and 5,000 euros, and a biostimulant trials, the price which should be in between 22,000 euros, so less than 4 million rupees. Yeah. our company, we are based in Spain. We are giving, we have 3 different offices, one in Madrid, one in Barcelona, and one in Tokyo.
Thanks, Ferran. Lightning. And ladies and gentlemen, Ferran Spain just for this event, and I'm really, really grateful to you and your colleague Antonio, who has also accompanied you, and I hope you have a comfortable India, and obviously we look forward to our members and the industry gaining from your insight. Ferran is available for 2 days if he's offering consultancy services, as you already know. So please be free forward. May I request our Vice Chair Sandeepa Kanatkar to kindly present a memento to Mr. Ferran.
Thank you very much.